Do you think mass deportations are going to happen here in New York City?
God forbid, and they'll prevent him from doing that because he's not allowed.
Do you think Donald Trump will be successful in mass deportations in New York City?
I really feel sorry for everybody involved with that. Come on, they're looking for a better life. You can't be so nasty.
Trump said today on day one, he's going to have the largest deportation process in U.S. history. He plans on signing some executive orders and closing the Mexican-U.S. border. Here's what I think, and I think I'm pretty knowledgeable. Yes, he'll close down the border. There will be lawsuits challenging that, make people apply for asylum from Mexico or end asylum altogether, deport anybody who crosses over the border, without providing them an opportunity to apply for asylum. And I think his border czar, Tom Horman, he's going to start knocking on doors of people who have final orders of removal. Many of those people live in the same homes when they got that order and just never left. And when they go knock on the door, if they find other undocumented immigrants, they'll arrest them too and deport them as well or put them in deportation. That was the playbook for Obama, who was the deporter in chief. And from all indications, they're going back to that same playbook because it's easy to deport people with final orders of removal. They don't have to see an immigration judge. Literally arrest them and send them home. And there's well over 1 million people living in the U.S. in that situation. So that would be the easiest way to take credit for deporting people quickly. Everybody else who gets caught in this net will have to see an immigration judge, and it will take years and years and years to deport them. They're entitled to bail unless they have criminal records, can't be held indefinitely as an undocumented immigrant. The courts are completely backed up. So the idea that you're going to walk down the street and someone's going to nab you, that's not going to happen. It's going to be people with orders of removal when they knock on their door and people living in that home who are undocumented. That's who they're going to go after.
The government is sending out these $1.8 million collection notices to individuals here in the United States with a removal order. The one that I have here in front of me says that civil penalties are being imposed under the Immigration and Nationality Act due to your failure to timely depart the United States following a final removal order. It also goes on to say that if you fail to make your payment, the Department of Justice may initiate legal proceedings against you at any time. However, you could avoid payment if you voluntarily depart the United States immediately. Then it goes on to tell individuals that their debt is due on or before an absurd date. Then it says that individuals only have 10 days by which to make this $1.8 million payment. It says here that if you fail to pay the full amount within 60 days from the date of this notice, the Centralized Receivable Service will refer your debts to the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Cross-Servicing Program for collection.
News, a new group has emerged as a priority for removal under the Trump administration, and that is undocumented individuals from China who are deemed to be of military age. And so this is part of Trump's anti-China rhetoric, which we have heard over and over again. And now many community organizations are scrambling, specifically Asian American organizations, to prepare people to know their rights. So if you know of any mixed status families, Asian American mixed status families, it's really important to get this information out there so that they know their rights in the case of an ICE, knock on the door or an ICE raid. The number of undocumented Chinese nationals that cross the border, I think in the last 2 years has tripled. And like I said, we already know that the Trump administration has fomented anti-Chinese rhetoric in the past, and we believe this to potentially be
mass deportations of undocumented immigrants out of the United States does not create new American jobs. First of all, many of the jobs that undocumented people work at in the United States are jobs that are not really wanted by Americans. Seafood processing, poultry processing, picking fruits and vegetables in our farms are not something that a lot of Americans want to do, but people need to do that work in order to keep our grocery prices low and to keep food on our table. If we deport all of those people, our grocery prices are going to go through the roof. Also, did you know that undocumented immigrants generate almost $100 billion in taxes? They often pay local, state, and even federal taxes through what's called an ITIN number, or an individual taxpayer identification number. Deporting all those people means all of those resources that go to our government are no longer going to be doing that. And it costs huge amounts of money, millions of dollars, to try to catch, detain, and deport people outside of the United States. It also rips apart families, communities, and destroys businesses. Also, undocumented immigrants contribute to the American economy by spending the money that they earn here. They often go to grocery stores, restaurants, preschools, buy things here in the United States that generate jobs for Americans. Deporting them does not actually solve a problem. It actually creates fear, uncertainty, and frustration. And it also is immoral. We need to reconsider our immigration policy in the United States and create immigration reform and a path to citizenship, especially for people who have been here for years, have American spouses, American children. We need to give them a path to citizenship so that we can have a fair and humane immigration system.
American deportation debate is intensifying. Millions of immigrants are asking a frightening question. Could they be next in Americans' going deportation campaign? Welcome back to the Freedom Room, where we explore the biggest story shaping America through politics, history, and the society. Mass deportation has become one of the most controversial issues in the United States. Supporters argue that stronger enforcement is necessary to secure the border, uphold immigration laws, and protect national security. Critics warn that large-scale deportation could separate families, disrupt communities, and create serious economic and humanitarian consequences. In 2026, immigration enforcement remains at the center of political debate. Federal authorities continue to focus on people who are in the country without legal authorization, while politicians debate how far enforcement could go. Some proposals have called for expanding deportation operations, increasing detention capacity, and speeding up immigration court proceedings. But the reality is more complicated than a political slogan. Not every immigrant faces the same legal situation. Undocumented immigrants, people with final removal orders, asylum seekers, and certain visa holders may all face different legal proceedings depending on their individual circumstances. Stay tuned and watch to the end. Subscribe to the channel, please, and continue to watch. We'll come back later for more commentary.
CNN is reporting that the Trump administration is planning to end asylum for hundreds of thousands of people and then placing them in fast-track deportation. Let's talk about it. They are talking specifically about individuals who entered the United States unlawfully and then they applied for asylum. These asylum cases apparently are the ones that are at USCIS, affirmative asylum filings for individuals at USCIS. This is obviously very concerning, right? Because if you have a case pending at USCIS, an asylum case pending, ordinarily you would obviously have an opportunity to go in for an interview and present your case to the government. Now they're looking for a way to cut your process short and then place you in a fast-track expedited removal scenario. I had a consultation just a day ago with someone who has an asylum application pending at USCIS.
So we are here at the airport. It is now 3:30 in the morning. And the reason that we're here is there's a family that is self-deporting back to Ecuador, Jorge, Blanca, and their daughter Amy. And they'd been living in Minnesota, and they decided that they wanted a chance to come back to the United States and to Minnesota. So they decided to self-deport and to book a flight back to Ecuador. And this morning is when the return flight is. And so we are here with them as they go through security, get checked in, and head back to their home country.
I will miss this place, the country, the people, so many things. I don't know how I will be in Ecuador, if I will be safe or something like that.
The things that stood out to me that the family said is that they did not accept the money that the government was offering to self-deport. So they paid for their own airline tickets and they did not take that money. They said they don't want to be a burden on the government. They want to contribute and they hope to have a chance to return. And that is why they told me that they decided to pay their own expenses.
President Trump is about to invoke the Alien Enemies Act. The law allows the president with unfettered discretion to arrest and deport groups of people without any hearing. Under the law, there are three possibilities to unlock President Trump's powers. One, to deport people who are citizens of nations that we are at war with. Two, to deport people from countries that are invading the United States of America. Or three, a predatory invasion by groups of people across the border. Under the law, the president has to make a proclamation that this event is happening, a declared war, an invasion, or a predatory incursion. Once he does this, people who are from nations at countries that we're at war with, that are invading us, that has a predatory incursion against us, would be subject to be arrested and removed from the United States without hearing, because they would be considered possible enemy combatants. It doesn't apply to people who are dual citizens of the United States or nationals of the United States. And obviously...
Breaking news, friends. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration can, in fact, move forward with deporting people to third countries or countries for which they have no connection or ties to. The government was trying to deport several people to South Sudan, a country for which they have no connection or ties to. That process was stopped temporarily. These men are in Djibouti, waiting for an outcome with this case in federal court, based on the fact that the court believed these men should have a reasonable opportunity to argue that they might face torture or persecution in a country that they're being sent to that they have no connection to. Litigation, of course, is still ongoing, but what this means practically, friends, is that the Trump administration can quickly deport these men as well as other people who are stuck in a limbo, so to speak, in which their country is saying, their home country is saying, we don't know you, we're not going to issue a travel document, we have no proof that this individual was in fact born here and is a national of our country. What will happen now is that the Trump administration can quickly deport people in that very scenario to another country. I'm covering all things related to Trump immigration changes. Follow for more.
We are getting word that the mass deportation raids are going to begin on Tuesday in the city of Chicago. I first learned that these raids would begin quickly at a town committee meeting here on Thursday. We did not know where they would begin. We did not know when. Now the Wall Street Journal is reporting that they will begin on Tuesday in Chicago. And here is what a lawyer told us. If you are an American citizen, carry identification on you that can prove your citizenship or legal status. That could be a real ID driver's license. That could be a passport. Have that with you, particularly if you work in a place where there are undocumented individuals or live in a community that could be densely populated with them as well. It is likely they are just going to round folks up and they're not going to ask that many questions. So please, this involves personal safety and liberty. So please pay attention to what is going on. If you are able to document any of this safely with your cameras, by video, please do so and be sure to post that to whatever platform is available.
Breaking news. Immigrants, whether documented or undocumented, whether they have visas or non-visas, are subject to deportation regardless of their status in the United States. Yes, that's right, because just on the 22nd of July, the ICE agency has made official notice that all immigrants will be detained, will be looked at on a case-by-case basis. Just having a visa does not preclude you from being deported out of the country. The Czar has also specified that he's no longer just going after criminals that are illegal in this country. If you have any type of infractions, it doesn't really matter. If you have broken no laws, have no criminal record whatsoever, you are still subject to deportation. I am sending this out to all of you because this is something that you all need to be aware of. We all need to share this with as many people as possible because ICE agents are operating in full swing right now. They're gearing up and they're trying to double their quota systems now that they have a $28 billion budget to actually deport immigrants or illegal immigrants across the country. Please share this with many people. Stay safe and God bless to everybody.
DHS is building its own deportation airline. No, seriously. The Trump administration reportedly spent tens of millions of taxpayer dollars buying an entire fleet of planes to speed up mass deportations. And the goal? 1 million deportations per year. According to CNN, Homeland Security bought 10 aircraft earlier this year, including Boeing 737s and Gulfstream jets. And officials say the planes could begin deportation flights within weeks. Some aviation insiders are calling the entire operation crazy and saying it may never work long term. Why? Because the government reportedly bought planes before fully figuring out how to operate them. One former ICE official compared it to building the plane while flying it, and critics are questioning the cost after reports that DHS may have paid above market value for several aircraft. One jet reportedly cost taxpayers $70 million and came with a bed, kitchen, and bar. Meanwhile, most of the fleet has reportedly been sitting parked in Louisiana for months. The administration claims the project could eventually save taxpayers $280 million by reducing reliance on private charter companies. But aviation experts say owning planes means paying for maintenance, crews, fuel, pilots, certifications, repairs, and constant operating costs. But I'm still curious to know, why does the government suddenly have unlimited money for deportation airlines while regular Americans are drowning in rent, groceries, and healthcare costs?
Welcome back. Let's look at who can be affected. The phrase mass deportation can make it seem as if every immigrant is automatically at risk. But immigration law is not one-sided. People without legal status may face removal proceedings. Some individuals with final removal orders may be prioritized for enforcement. Certain visa holders who violate immigration rules may also face immigration consequences. However, every case is not the same. Some people may have pending court cases. Asylum seekers may have claims or other legal protections that must be considered. This is why the courts could become one of the most important battlegrounds in the immigration debate. Policies can be challenged by states, organizations, businesses, and individuals. Judges may be asked to determine whether certain government actions follow existing laws and constitutional protections. Supporters of mass deportation argue that immigration laws mean little if they are not enforced. Critics argue that enforcement must respect due processes and consider the human consequences. And there is an economic question. Industries such as agriculture, construction, hospitality, and food processing rely heavily on immigrant workers. Supporters say stronger enforcement could encourage employees to hire American workers and improve wages. Critics warn that removing a large number of workers could create labor shortage and increase costs for businesses and consumers. But the biggest question is still ahead. Continue to watch more reactions. I'll be back with more commentary. Subscribe, stay tuned, press the notification button so that you will not miss out for updates. Let's continue to watch. Stay tuned.
So this might be my very last video on here, and I would be remiss not to share what is about to happen in the United States. I know many of you follow me who are not in the US. I have built a following of people all over the world, and I have very much appreciated interacting with all of you. Please use the link and find me on my other platforms. So Donald Trump will be inaugurated in 2 days. He will take office. And perhaps one of his first orders of business will be to extend the TikTok ban by 90 days. We'll see. But on Tuesday, day 2 of his presidency, he is going to enact mass deportations starting in the city of Chicago. So this is coming. To all of you who said this wouldn't happen, this won't affect you, it's here. We are about to be facing this in real time. And I hope that we can remain on this app to connect and talk and mobilize and do whatever it is that we need to do. But I will not stop the good fight.
The government is giving you a permission to leave and enter on a parole status based on either an underlying pending application or approved status. For example, asylum pending, you can get advanced parole. TPS, you can get advanced parole. If you have an I-485 application for green card, you can get advanced parole. If you have DACA based on certain requirements such as meeting eligibility for either travel of humanitarian, medical, or employment, you can get advanced parole. parole. It really depends on what your situation is when you are applying for this benefit. If you're confused or you don't know if you leave and if they'll let you back in, then definitely speak with an experienced immigration attorney so that they have the full understanding of your case. I've never had a client not be allowed to enter on approved, valid documents. CBP is not going to just turn you back away at the airport because they don't feel like letting you enter. I've even had people on DACA or TPS that have order of removals.
I have some huge breaking immigration news today. A federal court judge just struck down Trump's 39-country travel ban list. So if you were a person from one of those countries, your case has been in limbo. You can't get asylum, you can't get a green card, you can't get a visa. The federal court judge said that USCIS has to follow immigration law and they cannot ban people indefinitely from these countries. This is huge because we have so many clients that have just been stuck in limbo. Maybe they've gone to their interview, but the officer can't make the decision because of Trump's policy. So now we're going to be able to file processing claims and get officers to look at this. I'm going to put a list of all the countries in the description below. It's too long to list here, but just know if you have a pending application from one of these countries, USCIS will start looking at those. This does not mean everyone's going to get approved automatically, of course. It just means that the case is allowed to now go through the process to then ultimately be decided. If you have questions about this, as always, you can use the link in my bio to schedule a consultation. I'd be more than happy to discuss your case with you.
61% of the undocumented people in the United States entered on a visa and overstayed. And lots of those people go to the airport and they travel all around the United States because they have a foreign passport. But now the time has changed. If you enter TSA and you are traveling on a foreign passport, they will put you into secondary inspection. What will they be doing at secondary inspection? ERO officers, enforcement and removal operations officers, and ICE officers, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, will be there to check your visa status. And guess what? If you're not in status, you're going to be taken in and detained. And unless you have a right to stay in the United States, they will start your deportation. Be careful out there. 61% of the undocumented people in the United States entered on a visa and overstayed. And lots of those people go to the airport and they travel all around the United States because they have a foreign passport. But now the time has changed.
12,000. That's how many new ICE officers were hired in just a few months, funded by a $75 billion congressional windfall to carry out Trump's mass deportation campaign. The Associated Press just investigated who some of them are. ICE's own policy says applicants can enter on duty after a preliminary suitability determination, while the full background investigation is still being conducted. That's their written policy. The full check covers criminal history, credit history, employment records, and personal references. The whole person standard, that's what they call it. Financial problems are flagged as a red flag, specifically because they can make officers vulnerable to bribery and extortion. The signing bonus for this hiring spree, up to $50,000. College degree, not required. I cover this kind of thing every day, so follow so you don't miss what comes next. As a little background, I filed FOIA or FOIA requests about ICE training back in January. 4 months later, the only response I've received is a request to narrow my scope. I did. Still nothing. I also made a post about FOIA, FOIA last week, so check that one out when you can. Okay, so DHS confirmed to the AP that some new hires received tentative selection letters and started working before their full background investigations were complete. I'm going to butcher it. Carmine Guglielacci, a new ICE officer in Atlanta, filed for bankruptcy twice, 2013 and 2020, and worked at 6 different law enforcement agencies in 3 years before joining ICE in December 2025. The federal government obtained his personnel file from his most recent employer 2 months after he had already started. The full background investigation was not completed. In February, whistleblower Ryan Schwenk testified before Congress. Schwenk was a lawyer instructor at the ICE Training Academy until he resigned this year. He testified the agency cut the program from 72 days and 584 hours down to 42 days, roughly 240 hours removed. What was cut? constitutional instruction, use of force training, firearm safety, and all testing designed to measure whether recruits could tell a lawful order from an unlawful one. DHS denied cutting any hours. Schwenk pointed out that ICE's own acting director confirmed 42 days in a January public statement. Then DHS claimed 56 days the day after Schwenk testified. His words, "They suddenly added 2 weeks of training magically the day after I testified." On his first day at the academy, a supervisor showed him a memo authorizing officers to enter homes without a judicial warrant. He said officers were afraid to raise concerns openly. They'd look over their shoulders before speaking. He resigned shortly thereafter. These officers are in cities across the country right now. Some started before their full vetting was even completed. The ones who went through the new academy received significantly less overall training, including cuts to constitutional instruction, and no testing exists to verify they can identify an unlawful order. Todd Lyons oversaw this campaign. In February, he told Congress he was proud of it. A well-trained and well-vetted workforce. He's announced his resignation effective May 31st. So, 12,000 officers, full background investigation still pending when they started, about 240 training hours cut, a memo on day one authorizing warrantless home entry. I want to know who's accountable for this now. Save this, share it with someone who still thinks these operations have guardrails. They don't. Use critical thinking skills, be curious, ask questions, and remember, democracy is a verb. Act accordingly. Thank you for watching and for following.
The Trump administration has just sworn in the largest class of immigration judges in U.S. history as part of its expanding mass deportation push. According to the Justice Department, more than 80 new immigration judges were officially onboarded this week to help speed up deportation cases across the country. The administration says the goal is to reduce the massive immigration court backlog, which still includes millions of pending cases. But critics are raising major concerns over how these judges are being selected and what role they're expected to play. Immigration judges are supposed to act as neutral decision makers, even though they work under the Justice Department. However, the Trump administration has publicly referred to them as deportation judges in official job postings and called on applicants to help deliver justice to what it describes as criminal illegal aliens. At the same time, the administration has removed more than 100 immigration judges over the past year, including some who reportedly handled asylum cases or previously advocated for immigrants. Most of the newly hired judges reportedly come from backgrounds tied to ICE, federal prosecution, or the military. Supporters say the administration is restoring order to an overwhelmed immigration system, but immigration advocates argue the courts are becoming enforcement tools instead of independent legal institutions.
At this hour, we're getting new immigration enforcement numbers, and here are some of the highlights. ICE deportations and removals for the current fiscal year, which began last October, stand now at more than 356,000. That's an average of roughly 1,260 deportations per day. The total number of people in ICE custody now is just under 66,000. Almost 40,000 of those have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges.
Let's look at the cost of mass deportation. The debate over mass deportation is about more than immigration enforcement. It is about the future of America. Supporters believe large-scale deportations could strengthen national security, restore order at the border, and reinforce respect of law. Critics warn that the consequences could reach far beyond undocumented immigrants. Families could be separated, communities could be disrupted, businesses could lose workers, and industries already facing labor shortage could experience even greater pressure. The central question is not simply should America enforce its immigration laws. The biggest question is how should those laws be enforced? Can the United States secure its borders while protecting due processes? Can it remove people who have no legal rights to remain while protecting those with legal or legitimate legal claims? Can the country reduce unauthorized immigration while creating legal pathways for people who want to come and work legally? These questions will continue to shape American politics in 2026 and beyond. Whatever your opinion, one thing is clear. Immigration policies affect millions of people, and the decisions being made today could shape America for generations. So what do you think? Should the United States expand deportation, or should it focus more on immigration reforms and legal pathways? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section below. This is the Freedom Room. If you found this analysis valuable, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification so you will never miss out discussions on US politics, immigration, history, Black history, current affairs, and other aspects. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.